time we talk about the role that, people in our lives have played in just the kind of the way that we've thought previously. And but very rarely do we think about this thing happening on a systemic level. And the divine has been, just dealing with this kind of information in regards to, well, is it really about our families? Is it really about the people that we've been in relationships with? Is it really about, the people in the workplace? Like I feel like, and I know intuitively that it's not something that is that simple. Okay? It's not something that is that simple. And you have you have I would call them entities functioning under a certain system. And also, you said there's an echo. um I guess that's what it is for now, Dedrick. It's gonna have to be that way. I'm gonna try to see if I can fix that. All right. So we're functioning under a certain system. And within this system, we have physical components and we also have spiritual components. But essentially, it is the spiritual that is governing the physical. And those who are operating within the system, and I call them entities because it's challenging to really pinpoint a name for these entities. Like yesterday in the live, I called them animals in human form because that's just what came to mind. Um, it's definitely working from a spiritual perspective, and then it manifests itself in the physical. Now, I consider myself, still a baby, so to speak, and I feel like, a lot of times when many of you leave comments regarding how much I have helped, um, it's still very much new to me because um, very much like you, I am a student. I'm still very much a student learning, and there's a lot that I don't know. But the divine has been dealing with the things that I don't know. But on a spiritual level, there are things that connect. It's just like dots connecting, and I see them connecting. And intuitively, I've been told by the divine that we have for quite some time been functioning under a system that has been using certain spiritual knowledge to, in Haitian Creole, we call that tupizi. Okay? And that's basically the image of someone putting their foot on someone's neck. In tarot, I think that would be equivalent to the Eight of Swords energy, the energy of being restricted, the energy of being bound, the energy of being limited. Okay. So for quite some time, we've been functioning under a system whose purpose is to limit certain individuals while giving power to certain individuals. Part of how you see this manifested is even on YouTube. You'll see certain videos, and a lot of times, I'm not even sure why I'm going here, but I'm gonna go there. A lot of times what I'll notice is that, especially with a lot of tarot readers, I'll notice that, tarot readers of color, specifically black tarot readers, whose videos are very, very much in tune and connected, yet you'll notice that the views are not as many. They get fewer views. Not to say that, all tarot readers who are of African descent or Black tarot readers provide quality content, but you do see the difference. You do see the difference. So I'm saying this to say that it's not necessarily like that. It's not cut in stone, and it's not black and white, okay? And it's not necessarily something that is pertaining to race, okay? I want to make sure I'm clear. This conversation is about a certain agenda that's being upheld by what is allowed and what is not allowed. Who is allowed to thrive, who's allowed to succeed, who's allowed to be seen, and who is not. And allowed meaning that you have certain people who were in power, and I feel like that energy is, a lot of those that were in power are beginning to realize that they're losing that kind of power, right? They're losing that power. You have a lot of those energies whose sole purpose is to assure that certain things are seen and certain things are not seen. And why is this significant? Because those ideologies are what oftentimes we see within the relationships with the people that we encounter. And I believe that some of those people that, you know, we've had close interaction with may be subscribing to those systems, whether it's consciously or unconsciously. And I think to some level, a lot of us subscribe to those types of ideologies, whether it's conscious or unconscious, because this thing is deeper than you think, okay? And it's spiritual first and foremost, all right? It's spiritual first and foremost. So the things that you see manifested, and I know you probably have questions, I'm going to, you know, address that. This thing that you see manifesting in the 3D, it's spiritual first and foremost. And without some sort of foundation, without nourishing your roots, there's no way. It's almost like saying, like, you really don't have a chance in terms of like becoming and elevating to your highest self. Without spiritual knowledge, without doing any kind of work, there's no way that, you know, you're going to be able to elevate. So many of us who have, you know, taken the initiative to do this kind of work, we know the kind of experiences that we've had to overcome in order to actually push ourselves, because you literally feel like a lot of times that you are fighting something that you don't even know what it is. Like a lot of times you may even notice that you'll do certain things, like your actions, you're not even sure where it comes from. It's almost like, you know, when you're watching, you know, walking zombies, you know, people who are operating without a level of consciousness, it's just a certain programming that's been ingrained upon them, and then they're just moving and doing things. And I believe to some extent this is, you know, I know this is kind of like just me getting my thoughts out, so just bear with me. Hey Jenna, hey Divine, Kenny. So it really is a spiritual battle. It really is a spiritual battle. And without the proper foundations, without doing the work, there's no way that you really will be able to survive within this system. Okay? And I say this system, it's like used very lightly because, you know, to some extent, I'm still trying to figure out a name to put to it. I see it in the spiritual, and I definitely see this divide happening on the spiritual level, where those who have chosen to do the work, those who have chosen to, you know, to wake themselves up, to remove the blindfolds, you can see what's happening. You can see how they're moving differently. And those who just choose to kind of just go along because for whatever reason, and people have different reasons. No judgment here. People have different reasons for doing things, right? And I feel like to some extent, it's just very challenging for some to fight. They've never been taught how to fight. They've never been taught that you should be fighting. They've never been taught that, first and foremost, that they're in some kind of, war. And that's exactly what it is right now. And this statement may invoke, different feelings in different folks. I'm curious to know, how, like, what many of you think about this, but we are seriously in, I guess everyone, we are seriously in some kind of war out here. Okay, whether you see it or not, whether it is apparent to you or not, it's spiritual warfare going on, and it's manifesting itself in the physical, because what happens is nothing in the physical ever happens without it being in the spiritual first. Okay, so how is it that you're going to deal with what's happening in the physical has a lot to do with what you do in, spiritually. So this is why a lot of times I come on and I talk about grounding your energy and making sure that you do the spiritual work. And some folks are not sure of how to start. And that's part of the thing as well, is that a lot of folks are like, well, how do I even start? Where do I even start? Where do I even go? Who do I even talk to? And I think part of that has to do with many of us think that the answers are outside of ourselves, when in fact the answers have always been within. But a lot of times the judgment is cloudy, or it's just this sense of, this cloud that comes over many of us, because it's in everything. It's in everything. Like, that sense of cloudiness comes from so many different things, from the foods that we eat, to the air that we breathe, to the water that we drink. So it is challenging. So if you are having a challenging time, working through this, like, I get it, because it's not the easiest thing. So if you are here, like the live as you come in. All right, so I guess, I wanted to mention that first, and I wanted to also make an announcement that I'm doing consultations. If you are interested in those consultations, you can send an email, messagesfromthewaters@gmail.com, and I will be providing more information regarding those consultations, because I do realize that a lot more people need those consultations, especially now more than ever. So regarding what it is that I just spoke on, I wanted to know if anyone had questions. Brad, nice to see you. Mitchell, you said everything is spiritual in life, but the spiritual eyes need to be activated. That's absolutely right. The spiritual eyes do have to be activated, and activating them sometimes for many is not necessarily the easiest thing, but it does include doing some kind of work. I think a lot of folks may believe that, you're just supposed to be born knowing, and if you don't know, then that's just it, it's over. And it's not necessarily the case. A lot of the greatest thinkers and folks that do know what they know now, it's because they went looking. It's because they went digging for that kind of information. All right. Any other Okay, so let me see. I'm just gonna go back to some of these comments. Frey, it's 2222. Those of you that didn't catch it, I did mention that if you're interested in one question reading, that gladly do it while I'm still on the live. So if you are interested, you can send 2222. All right, so if there are no other questions, I'm going to, unless this thing is like, it could be lagging. So if there are no other questions, if let me see. All right, so if there are no other questions, I am going to come off of the live. I'm trying to see if anyone sent anything so that way I can answer the questions. Let me see. Okay, so I don't see any question here. Okay, I don't see any question here, so I'm going to come off of the live. It was great connecting with you guys. If you are interested in a personal reading, so all personal readings that I do outside of the lives are typically different. Okay, so those personal readings usually are at least 1 hour. And if you are interested in a personal reading, you can message me at messagesfromthewaters@gmail.com, or you can book through Calendly, and I will definitely return. I will definitely connect with you. So again, outside of the live, I only do 1 hour reading sessions, or unlimited up to 1 hour, unlimited questions up to 1 hour readings. So the one questions I just decided to do on the live. So if there are no other questions, I am going to sign off. It was great to see you guys. Make sure you like the live, share the live, and I will be seeing you next time. All right, let me see.